Hello, Craig.
Hello, Colin.
We are revisiting an old video we did where we talked about the four Indiana Jones movies, and we really didn't get to do any justice to either one of those movies because it was four movies Craig crammed in one review. So this time we're just going to be talking about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull because even today, almost 20 years later, it is still very divisive amongst fans. And I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, and I personally like it. Is it the best Indiana Jones movie, Craig? No, it is not, but it is not the worst. I can confidently say that. What do you think, Craig? Then we'll talk about some of the production issues, and we'll talk about some background. Then we'll dissect more of the movie. But what do you think?
But yes, I agree. I've always liked this movie. I remember when it came out, like you said, it was very divisive, and I was always very surprised because I liked it. I didn't really see a huge drop off in quality from the original trilogy to this one. People act like it's like kind of the movies that we get now, the 20-year, 30-year-old reboots from movies that shouldn't exist. This doesn't really, I know you could say it's a precursor, but I never really felt like the movies that come out now where they're cash grabs or just it doesn't feel right. I feel like it worked for the most part, and a lot of hate towards it. To me, it's just superficial. People don't seem to want to let some of that stuff go.
Right. So, before we talk more about, I guess, the context of the time period, because I feel like that is very important when discussing this movie, is the context of when it came out. There were endless script rewrites. I asked ChatGPT to succinctly tell me all the kind of revisions and script rewrites they had. So it says from 1996, the movie went through at least 5 radically different screenplays before we got this one. The first one was they hired the Die Hard screenwriter named Jeb Stewart. It was called Indiana Jones and the Saucermen from Mars. There was another one from 1996, 1999 called, or no, it was Jeffrey Baum and Frank Darabont's City of the Gods. And Spielberg loved this script. He loved it so much, but Lucas hated it. And Spielberg later said this was the best indie script we ever had. George just didn't like it. And then in
What was that one
2000,
about?
it said, all right now, it's just bullet points. I could look more into it when I'm editing, but it just said it had a Crystal Skull artifact and Cold War spies, but no literal aliens, more mystical than sci-fi.
Hmm.
And from 2000 to 2004, M. Night Shyamalan, Tom Stoppard, and other screenwriters were brought in, but none of them could really crack the script or do anything that was approved by George. And then we get David Koepp, who wrote Jurassic Park, or co-wrote Jurassic Park. He wrote Spider-Man, the 2002 one. He wrote War of the Worlds, so he has rapport with Lucas and Spielberg, and then this is how we got the final script. And the original title was called Indiana Jones and the City of the Gods, but was later changed to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So yeah, it went through a whole lot of script rewrites because I think it said George Lucas was very keen on wanting to do aliens because I guess he understood that as Indy's getting older, the time period changes. So 1930s is perfectly fine for that pulpy action serial adventure that inspired Indiana Jones. So he wanted more of the 1950s B movie, which really, I feel like if from criticizing George a little bit, if you're going to do that, you kind of have to make it in the style of a 1950s B movie, and this movie isn't really like that at all. But other than that, I'll be curious to learn more about what that script Spielberg really liked, but George hated. I should have done more research, but that's how we got this movie, Craig. It was a very long time, and going into the context now, this was right after the prequels, and everybody hated George Lucas at this point, or not everybody, but the people who
Yeah,
grew
but
up with
yeah.
the original trilogy acted like George Lucas was the worst human being alive, and I think that kind of carried over into Crystal Skull because I think, and I'm sure you agree with this too, Crystal Skull is better than the prequels. It is a noticeable jump in quality from watching this movie and comparing it to the prequels and literally about everything, every kind of facet, you know?
Yes, and it is funny seeing how even the prequels people are turning a corner on. Granted, you still have those millennials who will, to their dying breath, curse George Lucas's name because they're man children. But it is funny seeing how that's changed. And even this movie, I think we're starting to see, it's not so bad because Dial of Destiny was so much worse.
Well, I think what people have to understand is that, at least this is for Star Wars and even Indiana Jones, that it's his ideas and it's his influence that make these movies what they are. So when you try to be the anti or you hate what George Lucas did, you're going against what it originally was. Star Wars, the first one's very clunky, that it has George Lucas all over it, but it's still his idea, it's his spirit, and that's what even the prequels had too. And when you try to you try to purge the George Lucasness of these projects that he created, you're not going to get anything that that's close to what he did, good or bad. Like the prequels aren't good, and I don't think he was never a good director. And he's even admitted that he doesn't like directing. He's the creative guy. He said that during the prequels. Then we'll get back to Indiana Jones. This isn't about the prequels. He didn't want to direct them. He offered it to other people, but they said to him, like, we don't want to follow your footsteps, or we don't want to do anything. It's your project, George. You do it. And he was like, oh, okay. But he never wanted to. So you can kind of tell.
It makes sense. It's more of, like you said, they're trying to get rid of the George Lucas influence, and it's like you can't really take a creator from their work. At some point, it is tied to them, and people are just kind of have to grow up and realize that even the bad, you gotta take the good with the bad. And you might hate the prequels, but he gave you the original trilogy, and just grow up, man. It's not that important. These are just movies.
Yes, but as I said, and as you agree, this is a lot better than the prequels. And yes, is it perfect? It is not. It starts off really good, and I think the first hour and up until part-time. After that, it starts to fall off a little bit. It kind of falls off a cliff. But I think they make up for it a little bit at the end. And when I mean at the end, it's not the climax, but at the very end.
Thanks, Ox.
I think they make up for it a little bit.
Yeah.
But Craig, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, and we'll go from there.
To be honest, I like majority of the movie, even the parts people say it falls off. It doesn't fall off enough for me to looking at my watch. It's still entertaining enough. I know people complain about the fight scene in the Amazon, but I don't know. I thought it was entertaining enough. Sure, maybe the monkeys were the monkey with the little hairdo was silly, but I don't know. It never bothered me to the point where I wanted to turn it off.
Right. Well,
even the reveal of aliens, it's like, I mean, they showed you aliens earlier in the movie. Like, why is an alien all of a sudden surprising at the end of the movie?
Well, it ties into the theme well, they're not aliens. They're called extra-dimensional beings.
These are interdimensional beings. They're not extraterrestrials. They're interdimensional.
Aliens. You know, they're aliens.
For me,
they're the flying saucers. They're aliens.
Yes. For me, I don't like it. It was a little sanitized, this movie, because Indiana Jones movies, Craig, are very violent. Even for their PG rating, PG-13 for the third one, they're like white knuckle action. Indiana Jones beats, he shoots people. He doesn't do that in this movie, really. He punches people a lot. But he doesn't shoot anybody. And it feels a little sanitized. And I know before Spielberg directed Schindler's List, even he said like he felt like that movie matured him more. So I don't think he wanted to do anything, at least with Indiana Jones, that was more violent. Because before, people say that he's two different directors, before Schindler's List and after. So I think that's important context, but I still don't like the sanitization of some of the grittiness.
Would you think it's because he's simply older and he's not able to fight as much as he could when he was younger?
For Indiana Jones, I'm just talking about the violence and killing. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, there's about Indy specifically being violent and killing people.
You would think he'd be more violent as older. He's like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to shoot you now.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't know.
Very minor complaint, though. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a bloodthirsty monster. I want to see more violence, Craig. I want to see more death. I want to see someone get ripped apart by a blade, a helicopter blade.
It's like those psychopaths who watch those horror movies that complain it's not gory enough. Like, oh, well, the intestines weren't real. I've seen realer intestines on.
Yeah,
like,
I want
Jesus
to see
Christ,
someone.
Man.
I want to see someone disemboweled. I think I know what you're going to say. One of the negatives is definitely Mac.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, he's a double agent. No, he's a bad guy. He just lied about being a double agent.
So what are you, a triple agent?
Nah, I just lied about being a double.
If I remember correctly. But the fact that he tricks Indy twice, a little annoying.
Well, the fact that Indy just took him in without any, like, I know he punched him in the face, but...
Hiya, Mac!
I don't know.
Hi, Mac!
I don't know. If I was Indy, I don't think I would accept the double agent who almost got me killed several times back into the fold. That was one thing I didn't like. Because he comes back and you're supposed to just kind of accept it. And he's still betraying him. So, granted, he dies at the end. You get it's coming to you. But I just wish Indy wasn't so nice to him.
Yeah. And I actually liked Mutt Williams, Henry Jones Jr., or Henry Jones III. Well, I think when we talked about our Transformers movies, Craig, we like Shia. I think he's a very natural actor.
He's crazy.
He's crazy. He screams.
Do not hit my car to collector's items!
But he delivers his lines organically, I feel like. And I thought there's a great scene with the diner where they're talking and Shia's trying to take beer from the other table next to him. And Indy was still talking to him, grabs the beer, he puts it back on the table. Very nice little touches like that when they're interacting. That's the Spielberg charm this movie still has that the fifth one was missing dearly.
Well, also, people seem to, I think they got a little upset too when they heard that he was going to take the fedora and the whip over to be the new Indiana Jones, which
Hmm.
never ended up happening. I think that also upset a lot of people about him because I think people were happy that he died in Dial of Destiny.
Which is a little
And
messed up.
like I say, he was a little greaser. He was a little
He's a
bit
direct
of a punk.
contrast of Indy.
Yeah, they grew up in different periods. He grew up without a father, essentially. Well, not without a father, but not without Indy. And then, yeah, then you love the part where he finds out that that's his son, and he goes, "You're going back to school."
I got news for you, kid. You're going back to school.
You bet I am, and I got news for you. You're gonna go back and finish school.
It's like, stop calling me son.
But we talked about in our Star Trek II episode, Craig, that it felt weird that Kirk was knowingly a deadbeat, but Indiana Jones is not a deadbeat dad. He had no idea. Marion, who does return in this, she never told Indy about Mutt Williams. So Indiana Jones is not a deadbeat, confirmed.
Well, and the moment he finds out, he actually, the parental instinct takes over, like, we're going back to school.
Yeah.
And,
So
that's the other thing too about this movie. I know we're skipping towards the end, and I know this is the scene that you're probably referring to that you liked was them getting married.
Yes. I think it's a great ending for Indiana Jones too. He gets the girl at the end. He has a family. Because in the beginning, it's a little depressing. There's that scene where Indy is talking to the new dean of college because Marcus Brody passed away. And in real life, I think the actor passed away shortly after The Last Crusade. And Indy's like, it's been a brutal couple of years, Marcus. First dad, then... Or no, whatever, Charlie. First dad, then Marcus.
Brutal couple of years, huh, Charlie? First dad, then Marcus.
Seem to have reached the age where life stops giving us things and starts taking them away.
It got a little depressing at the beginning.
Yeah, how he's losing now. He gets his new family. The woman who probably he should have married years ago. He finally has a son now, so he kind of gives him back that family bond that he was missing. And I know we're gonna talk about the Dial of Destiny, but that's probably why I hate it so much. They ruined the ending of this.
Yes, deliberately, for no reason.
Because that's the other thing too. This doesn't mess with or ruin or do any kind of smearing of the original trilogy. You don't have to watch this one, but if you watch it, it's not going to make you angry. It's not going to doesn't spit on the original.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but what helps too, and why this movie is a rare case of that, the original people who made those movies are back on this. So usually when people they're undoing other people's work. So you have your JJ trying to undo George Lucas. This is George Lucas and Spielberg working together again. So that's why there's not that deliberate evil kind of undoing of other people's work.
I mean, to be honest, there probably are people who undo their own work out of spite, but I know what you're trying to say.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, that's true. Some people do that. Like the Todd Phillips with the Joker.
Yeah.
But at least not Spielberg and Lucas, not them.
Yes, and people seem to have this idea that your action heroes or your stories, to make them more realistic, they just make them miserable and suffer for needlessly, and usually never even makes all that much sense why they suffer or why have to punish them. This feels like almost a natural. Yeah, Indy, he's older now.
But he's still got it. He still got it.
Well, yeah, and he's not old. He's not 80 pretending to be an action hero. He's in his 50s. That's still in the realm of acceptableness to be an action hero.
Yeah.
It's not like he's, flying through the air and kicking people and breaking their jaw. He's just doing normal stuff.
See, when they make fun of his age in this movie, it's not like, haha, you're 50. It's like, wow, like in the beginning, the scene, the warehouse chase, which, by the way, is amazing. Great way to start your movie. He coils the whip on the light. He misses. I thought that was closer.
Damn, I thought that was closer.
But the scene still carries on. They don't beat him down like, wow, you're really old. Why are you shirtless carrying a bat and you're 80 years old in your apartment alone? There's nothing like that in this movie.
Well, in the scene too, where none of his students respect him, it's just awful. And he's at a school that no one knows who he is. He's like not discredited, but he's almost a ghost. No one knows who he is. Like the world famous Indiana Jones has become nothing but a joke and a punchline. I know we're not talking about that movie, but that movie it's so
it is. I feel like we kind of have to talk about it because the divide between the critics on this movie and the audience is pretty staggering. Because the movie did well both financially and kind of critically. From critics, it has a 77%. On Rotten Tomatoes, it grossed $786.6 million at the box office, which even without inflation, Craig, that grossed a lot more, almost double what Dial of Destiny did.
Well, they said it was the second highest grossing film of that year, which even just not looking at the numbers, the fact that it's number 2 should be impressive.
Yes. Yeah, right behind The Dark Knight. When it came out, again, I was a kid, but I still loved Indiana Jones. I don't remember there being that much negative press. I probably thought like, oh, well, that wasn't as good as Raiders. That's a high bar to try to cross. It wasn't as good as the third one. People like the third one. I enjoyed it as a kid. I thought it was fun.
See, I enjoyed it, but I remember being shocked at the vitriol this movie got. Because I do
Yes.
remember seeing people complain about it. I never subscribed to that. I was always, yeah, I liked it. I don't care that a bunch of angry millennials who are basically man children who can't accept the fact that a new movie came out.
Again, even as a kid, I could recognize it was better than the prequels. And yes, there are silly things. There's the nuking of the fridge, which is a lot better of a term than jumping the shark. The nuke in the fridge sounds funny.
But see, you know what I never see people talk about, which I think is crazier, is when he throws up the gun shells and like it floats over magically, like over the warehouse to the box that was magnetized.
Yeah.
I think that's sillier than most other stuff people complain about. Like
Well,
magnets aren't gonna like
well, yeah, you go.
magnets aren't gonna magically float over, then go to the box. Closest distance to anything is a straight line. It's gonna go try to go through stuff, or you know what I mean?
Sure, it'd be
It's not
coming
gonna
down
magically
it'd be coming
float.
down at an angle if it was pulled by the magnetism, right?
Well, like if he throws it up in the air, it'd immediately like go in towards that direction, probably land on the side of one of those wooden boxes.
Well, Craig,
Point is, I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that was more unrealistic than a lot of the stuff they complain about, which no one ever talks about.
The folly
all
of
I'm
that
saying.
scene, though, is that they're all wearing metal, and none of the metal stuff that they have on them is being pulled up until they remove the wooden crate, and then that's when their metal items, like Irenia's, who we'll talk about in a little bit, her sword gets stuck to it.
Yes, I'm not saying that's a horrible scene. I'm not saying it ruins the movie for me, but
You're
I
just you're
find
putting
that
on your CinemaSins glasses.
no. What I'm saying is, I think that's more egregious than a lot of the stuff that other people talk about in the movie, as in terms of, oh, it's not realistic, or like the fridge thing. I think that's honestly might be worse.
In Indiana Jones 2, The Temple of Doom, they jump out of an airplane at full speed and they undo a raft and they land on the hard snow ground, going God knows how fast, falling down, and everything was fine.
And it never pops. Like they go down the entire mountain, they go down like some woods into a river.
Nothing ever
Look,
ripped up the raft or got caught on anything.
like that's what I'm saying. There's going to be some goofiness. I think it's not the end of the world.
Well,
What
the
bothers
whole
me more
appeal
is
of it is you want to be Indiana Jones and it's always fun adventure. It's not some kind of gritty, realistic action. I don't want to see, if realistically, if Indiana Jones was punching people, he would break his hand from the amount of people he's punched.
he probably would have been shot like years ago.
He would have died from a horrible disease from going into the Well of Souls or traveling all around the world. He would have gotten some horrible disease. And he would have died because it's 1930s, the 40s.
Remember
But
when he
it's
drank poison in Temple of Doom and didn't die? I know he got the antidote,
Yes,
but
right,
still.
exactly. But it's the appeal. It's the appeal of fun and adventure, and I feel like at least this movie has that because that's true to Indiana Jones in the spirit. Dial of Destiny trying to do this reconstruction of a hero is not the vehicle to do
In his
that.
80s.
Yeah, in his 80s. Indiana Jones is not the vehicle because it's by trying to have that mindset, you already missed the point and the appeal of Indiana Jones.
Yes. That's when people try to say like, oh, maybe this could have been fixed. No, there's no fixing something like Dial of Destiny. From the outset, it looked at it looked at the movie and the idea incorrectly. So you can't really fix that. The whole foundation is rotten.
Now, what did you
As
think
people say.
of Arania Spalko, played by Kate Blanchett?
I thought she was fine. I mean, I don't really think you watch Indiana Jones for the villains. Granted, I did like Belloc, but she was
Molaram.
fine. Yeah, like I said, he wasn't great either.
Yeah, that's true. But Belloc, who could forget about Belloc laughing like a maniac?
Well,
when
especially
Indy
the way he
gives him the
taunts
thing?
Indiana Jones. Like I love the opening from the first one. There's nothing you can possess, which I simply cannot take from you.
Again, we see there is nothing you can possess which I cannot take away.
He's such a jerk. You want to talk to God.
You want to talk to God? Let's go see him together.
Such a great scene. But
Yeah, Belloc set the bar high, and I think she's fine. I don't really have strong feelings one way or the other.
right.
I mean,
Who
did you
else?
think differently?
I thought she was okay. She's doing her thing because I think what also I like about maybe this movie doesn't have it as much, but the other three, and especially the first and the third, is that it's always kind of rooted in some kind of mythology, but he's going after the lost ark. Like it's rooted in some kind of quote unquote mythology.
Well, I wouldn't say it's like religious artifacts, the Holy Grail, the Ark
It's
of the
rooted
Covenant.
in some
and-
kind of idea or truth. Like, the Nazis actually looked after that stuff. They actually wanted to get those kind of artifacts. And then they mentioned the Roswell in this movie. So it's kind of
I know, but
rooted. You know what I'm trying to say?
I know, and I know people say, well, that's, I guess maybe you're agreeing with some of the criticism that it shouldn't have been about a movie about aliens, but I don't know. It didn't really bother me.
No, I'm just saying in general, though. Like, I feel like Indiana Jones kind of goes after mystical artifacts, I guess is the correct word. And the aliens didn't bother me too much, but I don't know.
Well,
I
there
feel
is
like
some part of it. Like they looked for the, I think they said Akator, but it was supposed to be the City of Gold, right? That's what they were looking for.
I think that's where they're going, or yeah, we're looking for.
Yeah, because I never remember hearing about the name Akator, but remember saying the City of Gold.
And crystal skulls are real, right?
Yeah.
Who made them? Do we know? I should have looked it up.
See, I remember this. I remember looking this up when the movie came out. So this could be me not remembering, but I think they were made. But the way they did the heads, because like I think people used to like do stuff to their head where they like tie and try to elongate their own head, and that's
Oh
what
my
the
God.
skulls were emulating. Like you see when people put like their rings around their neck to extend their
Yes,
neck.
yes, yeah.
I think they were doing something similar for their skulls.
Hmm.
I could be completely wrong and making this up, and you would never know because there's nothing to fact check that.
Well, I'm definitely going to fact check it when I'm editing. I don't remember if I said this, Craig. Maybe this is during our first attempt at recording. I brought my little Lego Indiana Jones figure with me during the theater because 2007, 2009, I think they had Lego sets. So 2007 was the first 3 movies. And I had the Well of Souls set where it's Indy, Marion. And I brought my Indiana Jones to the theater with me for this movie.
Yes, I remember. I think that was around the year you. Because I don't remember too much what we dressed up as when we were younger for Halloween.
I did go as Indiana Jones that year for Halloween.
Yes, I remember that because you had the whip and everything and the hat.
Uh-huh.
And that was around the time the Lego Indiana Jones game came out.
Yes, the first one.
I remember. I think you got the second one, and we never finished it. Remember,
We finished the
they
first
changed
one.
the structure. Yeah, we changed the structure of the second game. But yeah, we finished the first game.
Yeah, fun game, by the way. What else you got for me for this movie, Craig?
Oh, so I know one of the most quotable things we see in the movie is when Indy and Mutt go to
Oh, God,
the
yes.
resting place of, I forget the conquistador's name, Orleana.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes, and then he was surprised when he beat up those people guarding. He goes, "You're a teacher, part-time."
Part-time.
Part-time.
Well, the thing,
'Cause I know
he
somebody
wasn't
quotes
surprised
this
by
day.
that, Craig. He was surprised that he pulled a gun on somebody. You're a teacher? Part-time.
I mean, I still think he was surprised that he beat up, like he was running through the cave, the little caverns to beat them up, and then he shoots them or pulls
Well,
out a
no,
gun.
he wasn't surprised. He was surprised by his fighting ability during the whole chase scene in College Town, which, by the way,
That's true.
another classic Spielberg charm kind of set piece. That was a great sequence, and he's punching people. He's being dragged out of cars. There's that shot where they pull Indy off of Mutt's motorcycle, and then Mutt's like, "Oh my God, what just happened? They pulled him off."
Well, I like that. I liked how when the greasers and the jocks start fighting in the
Oh, the
little...
distraction. He's like, "Yeah, punch this guy, this college guy."
Joe College hit him hard.
Here, hold this.
No, then you hear like greaser music. There, as they start fighting.
Get that greaser!
It's so great. Like the first half of this movie is so great, and then yes, it does fall off.
I know the ending isn't as great, but I still love the scenes in the beginning. Like I said, the opening warehouse scene, the chase with the diner and stealing Indy from car to car, even going to Francisco de Orleana, his whole little thing with Mutt, seeing how the old man's still got it. He's a pro. You know, people hate the Amazon rainforest chase with the cars with the giant gears, just chopping down
I
trees.
think, yeah. Well, that's unrealistic. I think, and I can sympathize a little bit the over reliance on CG because at least for Indiana Jones, it was all about real stunts, real kind of action. Not, I want to say real action, but it felt all visceral and real. And when you have these ridiculous kind of, and I think also what doesn't help is that the CGI wasn't at its best. And that's why it probably looks so distracting. And then the monkeys were a little silly. And for some reason, too, before we get back to the jungle scene, a lot of people hate the CG mole. Or no, prairie dog.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really care. It's a different way to open the movie because you always start on the Paramount and it transitions to something that looks like that mountain. So in the first movie, it was another mountain. In the second one, it was the gong that has the Paramount Mountain. And the third one was like some kind of Arizona, wherever they were, South Dakota kind of peak structure.
Was it Utah?
Utah, sure. somewhere out there. It's a fun way of doing the transition. Oh, it's on a prairie dog and the car comes by it. Like, who cares? What do you think you're going to put a real prairie dog there?
Yeah, like they have trained prairie dogs, like trained cats or dogs. But see, that's one of the things when I see a review or a comment that references the prairie dog unironically, I can't really, their opinion can't be valid because they're just looking at this ragefully, not objectively. Okay, sure, who cares what the prairie dog is? CGI. Remember there was something recently we were talking about a movie where they were complaining about a CGI something. Oh, the CGI Franklin and from Galactus. They're complaining about the CGI baby.
Yes.
It's like, what, you're gonna put a baby do stunts? Be stupid?
Well, you only have, again, these are probably people who never worked on a TV show or movie. You only have a certain amount of hours, especially for newborns. I don't even know what the rules are for newborns, but for minors, you only have a certain amount of hours for them. Way less than regular actors who are above 18.
But it's like, who cares? I think of it economically. Why are you going to have a baby, which is more unpredictable, and just have a CGI baby? The technology's there. Why go to the effort of having a real baby? That does not enhance your movie anyway. Who cares?
Yeah. Babies are unpredictable. They could cry, ruin a take. Who cares? It's for the safety of the child, too. And also for the prairie dog, Craig. Do people really want a trained prairie dog that a car is going to drive near it or over it because it's going to crush the mound? Do they want that to happen? Oh, the prairie dog ran the wrong way and it got ran over. Oh, God. Get the other one.
I don't think they thought this criticism through. I think they're just spitefully trying to attack the movie.
You know what it is,
and it feels very random.
It's the people who are complaining about the too much CGI in the prequels, and they just want to complain at something. And yes, I think the prequels also, they used way too much CGI. They didn't have real sets. Everything was a blue screen. And for those movies, that's valid. That's a valid criticism. But for just little inconsequential things like that, for the prairie dog, maybe the jungle sequence, I could give them that. But something innocuous as the prairie dog, who cares? Who cares?
And something to think about too, not that we're going to full on defend the prequels, but this was around the time CGI started to get good. So maybe it was just a mistake thinking that, hey, this is a new technology. Maybe we can have a new way of making films. And I guess it didn't work out for them, but maybe, I don't know if that was entirely their intention, but if that was something they were thinking, I could at least understand. It was new. We didn't do it well. Oh well, live and learn.
And also, if anything, CGI made the stunts in this movie a little bit more impressive. They could do more. They really had Harrison Ford when he attaches his whip to the light. That was really him doing it, but with CGI, you can easily paint out all the harnesses on him. It's great. It was a great stunt.
No, Colin, you must randomly hate CGI. People who now hate AI.
When Indy's driving and he crashes through those crates and they explode in front of everybody, you think that was CGI? That was real. That was 100% real. You watch how I'm talking about? I think it's a shot he actually throws off Irina, and then the car goes through all those boxes. That's real. And you know what? This movie has a little bit of the nostalgia, but just seeing the arc for a split second, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But they didn't harp on it, you know?
Yeah, you can sure it's nostalgia bait, but it's blink and you miss a kind of moment. It's not really a big deal. I mean, they're in the warehouse, I guess, so people are wondering, is it there? Yeah, it's still there.
Now, I guess we should talk about the aliens, because that's a huge point of contention for people. Or, excuse me, the extra-dimensional beings. What'd you think of them?
I didn't really mind that there were aliens. They're in the 50s. I almost not like the fact they call them extra-dimensional creatures. Just call them aliens at that point. I feel like when you say that, you're almost ashamed that you had aliens in your movie, so you'd call them extra-dimensional creatures instead. If you just had them be aliens, I don't know. I feel like that would have been... Granted, it's not really a major thing, but just own it, you know?
I think the whole point of them is that there are limits to what we can understand, and there's limits to knowledge. And that's why they kill Irania, because she wanted to know everything.
Tell me everything you know.
And she kind of has that...
Well, they didn't kill her specifically, right?
Well,
I thought she just died from...
Yeah, I guess she received too much knowledge, and it's never good. I guess what the movie's saying is that you have to have a little bit of kind of humility where you can understand that you're not going to know everything, and that's okay.
Well, yeah, that's a classic tale for their pursuit of knowledge. Usually it's a good thing, but there's limits. At some point, you kind of have to accept that you won't know everything. Not everything's in your control.
Yeah.
And she thought she could
tell me everything.
Even then, like, why would you even want to know everything? It's just going to make you depressed. Ignorance is bliss, right? That's where the saying comes from.
Yeah.
Less you know, that the happier you are.
And I think we said earlier, I feel like the aliens for a 1950s time, like a setting, is good. Because I'm glad he didn't fight Nazis again, because we've only gotten that for... So up until this point, 2 out of the 4 movies had Nazis in it. It'd be a little weird he's fighting Nazis in the 50s, so they changed it to Russians because of the whole Red Scare thing. So Everything
It was the Cold War.
from a historical context works for the movie. I thought it was fun too when he went to, because they're out in Nevada, obviously, the nuclear testing facility he went to, or excuse me, the nuke town, right? I thought that was fun. He's like, oh no.
It can't be good. And that was like the common, if it was lead lined, you'd be safe. I mean, sure, yeah. It's not even the fridge that should have killed him, or being in the fridge at the fall that would have killed him. More likely, like falling from that height would have killed you
I
more
think
so
it
than being in a
also
lead
would have
lined
been
fridge.
the intense heat would have incinerated him and the refrigerator.
Well, that too. But what I mean is,
I know
the
what you're
fall,
saying.
I think is
yeah,
because we don't know how close he was to the explosion.
yeah.
I know you saw in the background, but like we don't know how close he really was to the blast site. But yeah,
He would have been
I don't- yeah.
incinerated entirely. Because
yeah, whatever.
whatever.
I mean, yeah, that's silly, but I don't know. It doesn't really bother me all that much.
Is it more silly than someone drinking the wrong water and they just die in front of you? They like become super old right in front of you, or someone
That is-
pulling the heart out of somebody?
Yeah.
That's why I don't 100% understand some of the people. Oh, like they hate the fridge scene. Like, yeah, it's a little silly. But is it more silly than a guy going into someone's chest and ripping their heart out? Like, come on.
Well, people have complained about it so much that it's almost a synonym for jumping the shark.
Yeah, well, I like it because it's kind of funny and it's tied to Indiana Jones. Now, Craig, did Palpatine go into a lead refrigerator to survive the Death Star explosion?
See, that's worse. That's worse. Because those movies were awful. No one really complains about them.
Yeah.
Like this movie like really hurt people. But I think you're right that it was the George Lucas, the hate bandwagon.
It 100% is. And listen, the movie's not perfect, and there's a lot of valid criticisms. We're not dispelling that. But that's why I wanted to talk about the context before we started talking about the movie, because I feel like that's a key component. Now, if the prequels are good and people like them a lot, then I feel like people would have had more goodwill towards George. I'm like, yeah, this was pretty good. This is pretty good.
So I know one character who I didn't really like or care that much was Oxley. He's basically a comatose zombie the entire movie up until the aliens leave. And I guess you could say, well, the aliens' influence left, but I don't know. It feels a little
that was a little
cheap.
bizarre. And the whole sequence where Indy says, get help.
Go get help.
And then he's confused when Ox brings the Russians. He's like, yeah, thanks.
Good work, Ox. Thanks.
Who are you referring to? Who's he going to get help from?
Yeah. And the other scene, too, where he's in the quicksand pit and they throw a snake at him. It's like,
Yeah.
But it wasn't something they really harped on. Especially in the first one, he goes, I hate snakes.
I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them!
It wasn't like he was deathly afraid of it. He just, I guess, doesn't like snakes.
Well, it was setting up, too, for the Well of Souls scene, because then he's like, snakes. Why does it have to be snakes?
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Looks dangerous. You go first.
Very dangerous. You go first.
That's another great line.
Yeah, it was setting up Indy going into an environment that he absolutely hates. Yeah, this one, it dragged the whole snake sequence. Grab the rope!
I think you could have just completely taken that scene out of the movie. Maybe if you were going to keep it, just don't have the snake stuff. Just, oh, quicksand. Ooh, dangerous. But I don't really care for the joke about the snake all that much.
Yeah, it was a little, I guess, charming that he's explaining the viscosity of quicksand. That's fine, but then, yeah, it dragged on with, get something else, I don't like snakes. And then him being utterly dumbfounded when Ox brought the Russians to help. Like, come on. But that's in the second half of the movie. It's not in the first half.
Oh, I know another scene that people don't like was the ants eating the big Russian guy. I don't know if they even said his name.
It's like Igor or something. I'm glad you brought that up, because what I like about at least the first 4 Indiana Jones movies, I'm going to show a little montage in a second, but there's always a brutal death in the first 4 movies. And that guy getting eaten alive by the ants is a weird, brutal death, but it works in Indiana Jones.
Well, I bring it up because they're like, actually, that's not realistic. Ants wouldn't eat him like that. I'm like, I don't care. It was brutal. They were dragging him back into their, their little hole. I don't know.
Oh,
I liked it.
The Russian Colonel Antonin Dovchenko, whatever. But in Raiders, guy gets cut in half by a blade. And, well, Temple of Doom had a whole bunch of them. A guy gets stabbed by a shish kebab. That one big baddie gets crushed by the counterweight balance, and those rock cylinders crush that guy, and you just see a blood streak. The weird death in Last Crusade was the guy going from like oldish to becoming decrepit and dying in front of Elsa Schneider. And this movie obviously has the guy getting eaten alive by ants. It's in spirit of Indiana Jones. There's always a weird, brutal death. Besides the fifth one, there's no. I mean, the brutal death was that movie being made, but the first four had a weird, brutal death in it.
Could you imagine in the Dial of Destiny they had a brutal death? They're showing how Mutt died in Vietnam. Just he gets like gunned down.
You know
on
what?
Fire.
That wouldn't have been. That would have fit the movie.
And they show Indy the footage and could torture him. Like, yes, this is how your son died. Well, another scene that I know is contentious is when Mutt was battling Spalko when they were basically fencing each other.
Mm-hmm. I know they mentioned earlier that he was talking to Indy about what his mom did when he was younger. She's like, or he said, she sent me to a bunch of fancy prep schools where they taught you X, Y, and Z in fencing.
Fancy prep schools teach you how to debate, chess, fencing.
So they tried to set that up, but it was a little weird because they're in the middle of this action set piece, and then Marion's like saying, "Riposte! Stick your foot out or pull your foot back. This isn't a fencing match, Ma."
Get on your front foot! Riposte! It's not a match, Mom!
A little silly because she's trying to kill him. I do think, though, the jungle sequence, it drags on a little bit too long, and it ends very silly.
Well, I think how it starts is funny. And he just takes an RPG and shoots.
No. Yeah. That's fine. He's like, I'd cover my ears if I were you. But
it
they go
wasn't
off
just
a
that.
cliff, and then they land on a tree, and then there's a sequence where this tree branch hits Marion as she's driving, and she's perfectly fine, but it like cracks the window.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking when he shoots the RPG, and then the gear just starts like goes over every single car perfectly.
That's Indiana Jones' charm. He's an incredibly lucky guy.
Well, I mean, not just lucky that he didn't die, lucky how it seems to hit every single car along the way. Colin, I don't think that was really realistic. I'm going to make like a 3-hour YouTube video on how that wasn't realistic and break down the math of it.
Please don't do that. This is something that I think not a lot of people would notice or pick up on, but so I think the first 3 Indiana Jones movies, I know Spielberg had a different DP, a director of photography, so that's why they all look kind of distinct, but in this one, the DP from the first 3 movies passed away, so Spielberg has this DP named Janusz Kaminski, and I think he's been working with this guy since Saving Private Ryan. I think he's been collaborating with Spielberg. Oh, Schindler's List. Okay, so he has literally shot, I believe, almost all, if not all, of Spielberg's movies since Schindler's List. So a lot of Spielberg's movies, especially in the 2000s, there's like this glossy kind of look to it. And that kind of glossy aesthetic does not match Indiana Jones. So if you've seen War of the Worlds, I know what you have. You remember the glossy kind of look sometimes? Where everything was a little washed out?
A little, oh yeah, especially, I remember it was that movie and Minority Report had that look.
Exactly. That doesn't really match this kind of style, the Indiana Jones style, that look. It's the
it's
most
not as
offensive in Minority Report and in some of War of the Worlds, and then in some of Catch Me If You Can. It just doesn't match Indiana Jones.
Yeah, because those are the ones I remember more. This one I don't think was as bad from what I remember.
It was really apparent during the jungle sequence where everything was kind of glossy.
Yeah.
Let me just confirm. I know the guy who's the DP for Raiders of the Lost Ark was Douglas Soclome. But my point is that kind of glossy look to Spielberg's newer films, at least in the 2000s, his films all had that kind of glossy look. Doesn't match Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is visceral. It's the look is intense, well, colorful, but this glossy look I don't like.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I know this is something that you probably notice more than me. I'm the plebeian when it comes to this film stuff.
Well, because I was rewatching some of The Lost World, and that movie had some of that glossy look too. So I looked up the DP. It's like, oh, it's that guy. He's been working with Spielberg since 1993. Yeah. I don't know, you could just tell because the advancements and even post-production wasn't what it was when Spielberg started making movies. But his movies earlier in his career, from like Jaws up until the first Jurassic Park.
Oh, but speaking of old people who came back to do this movie, Colin, John Williams.
Yes.
The man never seems to miss. I know there wasn't as much new stuff this one. I mean,
I don't really recall, but it's John Williams. He does well in every movie he composes.
Even
It's
if he's
Indiana
reusing
Jones
something, it's
too.
still good.
You just have the theme play throughout the movie. It's always fun and lively. Even with a 65-year-old Harrison Ford in this. Yes, he's 65 years old in the movie Indy's in his late 50s. Because I believe in real Indiana Jones lore, he was born in 1899. So this is 1957, so he's 58 years old in this movie canonically. And like I said, they make fun of his age a little bit, but he still does his thing.
Well,
And it
yes,
looks
and he's
convincing enough. It looks convincing.
He's at an age where it's not the most unrealistic thing in the world. When you're 80, you can't be doing this. Like falling would hurt you. Granted, he's old and he probably would still probably break a hip doing stuff, but it's at that realm where he's not moving like an old man. He's still moving like a man who could do action
Yeah, and then
scenes.
Harrison Ford, he looks great in this movie, and they make sure to show us him shirtless. Because when he's getting all the radiation scrubbed off of him. But he looked good. He looks convincing. He was in great shape at 65 years old, so hats off to him.
But you know what I mean? Because I remember in the Dial of Destiny where he's moving like an 80-year-old man. Like you can see they de-age his face, but
You
they
can never
don't.
de-age that look of the body. You can never de-age that. They also didn't de-age his voice. They didn't use any kind of filters or AI or some kind of manipulation. Because in Dial of Destiny, he looks young and it looks convincing.
Yeah,
When he talks.
You got a lot of nice stuff. Other people's stuff.
It's a mythical lost city in the Amazon.
Oh boy. We're going to do a separate episode of Dial of Destiny. We'll talk more about it.
Do we have? I don't want to rewatch that again.
We will. Don't you worry, Craig. It's fun to talk about, like, I want to say controversial, but this one has a mixed reception from fans, and so does the next one. But this one is just like we talked about for, I don't know how long, 40-something minutes. It's just head-scratching because it's not super offensive, the things they did in this movie that would, like, the prequels, yeah, I can understand some of it. The acting was stiff and wooden, the delivery, the dialogue was clunky. The direction was very bland. All valid criticisms. I don't think we've said, like, I don't understand the criticisms of the prequels. We're not one of those people. I totally get the criticisms. But to have that hate from the prequels and then just pile on this movie because George Lucas is associated, my brain can't make that leap, Craig.
Yeah, me neither. Like I said, I liked it when it came out. I still like it now. Nothing's really changed. Maybe you could say that's bad because something says something about me, but I really don't think it was never that bad. I mean, I'm not one to give into peer pressure one way or the other. I've always thought it was a good watch. I know people hold up the trilogy higher, and sure, but if you want to add this one movie to make it a quadrilogy, I think that's perfectly acceptable.
It doesn't
as well.
ruin the lore of Indiana Jones. He doesn't become like an exotic dancer midway through the movie, and it just breaks the lore. It feels in line with Indiana Jones. And it definitely helps that you have the original creators working on it.
Because when you look at the way the third one ended, he got close to his dad again and fixed that relationship in his life. Ends on a good note. But this one, I feel like ends on an even higher note where he finally marries the woman he should have. He reconnects with his son. Finally complete. He's going to have a family to live out the rest of his days with until he tragically dies in Vietnam. But
he joins Vietnam to upset his dad.
Yeah, you would think that, sure, they might not get along with everything, but you think at some point they would realize what they were missing out and they could find that relationship in each other. You know, granted, that's the son and dad, but still, they would have that relationship with each other.
And I know we talked about it earlier, but the quote-unquote tease where the wind knocks the hat over and you think Mutt's going to pick it up as a passing of the torch. Indy snags it out of his hands. That was a great little moment.
Because remember, they were talking about Shia going to have his own Indiana Jones movie. And I know there were talks about that, but it never came
I'm curious how far those talks went.
I'm pretty sure Harrison Ford was probably saying like he's going to kill somebody if they try to replace him, which they've already done, so I don't know why he's that upset.
I mean, they only did it for young Indiana Jones.
Well, they came out with that game, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle.
Oh, yeah, so that was just a voice, though. It's still his likeness.
Yeah, but still.
It's his likeness. I feel like they're never going to replace the likeness and the look of Indiana Jones.
But still, there's someone wearing his skin doing a video game.
Now, whether we could talk about the ethical reasonings of that later, Craig, or for another time. But yeah, I think the movie starts off great, falls apart a little bit at the end, by the end, but I think the last 5 minutes with the wedding was very nice and well done. I liked Mutt. He was good. Don't like Mac. Haters, you have a good point of contention with that, because I don't think anyone likes Mac. He's such a stupid character. I'm CIA!
I'm CIA!
Yeah, he was dumb.
You're a double agent or a triple agent? No, I just lied about being a double agent or something.
I know, it's definitely my least favorite character. It wasn't like he was funny or anything. He was just annoying.
Yeah. And a small nitpick, Craig, that I would have made in the beginning. Because, by the way, I know some people don't like Indiana Jones being introduced by being pulled out of a trunk, but it's so cool. His shadow, and then the camera moves around to him. Russians. But Indiana Jones, he's been through all this with guns pointed at him. And then he says to Mac, like, put your hand down. You're embarrassing us.
Put your hands down, will you? You're embarrassing us.
He should have said, you're embarrassing me. I think I've seen other people say that too, but that would have fit Indy's, like, you're embarrassing me. What are you doing?
It's like minor things. That's something
Oh,
like
yes,
the real hardcore fans would
it's
care
not even
about.
a nitpick, but just the introduction of him. It's weird. Yeah, he's pulled out of a trunk with another guy. Sure, it's weird, but still, I think it's great. It's not as iconic as Raiders, or I love the third movie's introduction of him. You lost today, kid. Doesn't mean you have to like it.
You lost today, kid. It doesn't mean you have to like it.
Puts the hat on him. He goes down. He goes up, and it's older Indy. But I like his introduction in this movie. And this is an annoying thing, too. Because we talk about how Disney and even other people don't like the fourth movie. So I have, I'm sure you've seen, I have Hasbro figures or Hasbro collection made Indiana Jones 6-inch figures. They have 4 of the 5 movies of Indy, Craig. Guess which figure from what movie they did not make.
We're going to guess the fourth one.
Yes, they have the first 3 and different variations of the first 3. They have Indy's Cairo, which is just him without his jacket and his sleeves rolled up from the first movie. They have his ripped up, without the jacket, his ripped up shirt, which I do have from the second movie. The third movie has a tie. They don't have a fourth movie. They have no figures of the fourth movie, and I'm sure this line is dead. Who knows? But they have a Dial of Destiny Indiana Jones, but no fourth one. I have 4 of the 5 Indiana Jones, Craig.
I mean, I feel a little disgusted that you have the Dial of Destiny one. I don't know if I should associate with you anymore.
It's called the Adventure Series. I had to get it. I want to get all the Indiana Jones. And maybe since the last time I got a figure, because it was last year, they made one for the fourth. Maybe. No, I don't think they did. How dare they? My collection will never be complete. Craig, do you have any other final thoughts? Unless you have anything else to say about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
No, I thought it's always been a good movie. I think people try to treat it like it's the black sheep or it needs to be ostracized or cordoned off or whatever term you want to say that doesn't belong in the series. I think it's a worthy inclusion. Sure, it's not as good as one of the original trilogy, but I think it's good. I think it's good enough to be included in the quadrilogy, and I don't really get the hate behind it.
I like it too. I've always liked it. It's not as good as the first 3, and that's okay, but it is a worthy addition to the Indiana Jones movies. Ends on a good note, has some fun sequences, has memorable quotes, good or bad. Part-time.
Part-time.
And I would rank the movies as 1, 3, 2, 4, and then 5. So it's not the worst.
Five, there needs to be like several spaces in between.
It's not the worst Indiana Jones movie. It could have been better, yes, but it still had that Spielberg charm and that George Lucas kind of what's the word? The influence. It was fun. It's a good, not great movie, but it's still fun. I love Indiana Jones, but not as bad as people say it is.
Yes, definitely not as bad. People, again, there's a lot of terms for it where people try to knock it down. I know there's that South Park episode. There's nuking the fridge.
Yes.
And people really need to get over it.
You compare this to the Disney stuff now, my God, did they play it safe with this one, with the fourth one? Because the Disney stuff now is just disgusting and terrible. People owe this movie an apology. They owe George Lucas an apology.
People say it can't get worse, and I think time and time again, it can always get worse.
Yes.
You think George Lucas stuff was bad? Well, guess what? You got your wish. You got the prequel trilogy, or the sequel trilogy, which was worse. It can always get worse.
Yes, but I like this movie. Check it out if you want. It's not the best Indiana Jones movie, but it is not the worst. So with all that being said, this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm part-time.
Oh. And we will see you next time.
Part-time.